a retired golf pro. So, good morning and get inspired, Michiana, and welcome to Friday Morning Live on Facebook with Life Inspired Stories. Our guest today is John Miller from Ninja Golf.
Yes.
We're so excited to have you, John. Thanks for coming.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much.
So for our Facebook watchers, just a reminder what Life Inspired Stories are all about is basically your life was going along and then ... some kind of trajectory change moment happened in your life and now you're living an inspired life. And what does that look like? What does God mean to you and that kind of thing. So you have a really interesting story.
Thank you.
Like to hear first about the life before the dots.
Yeah, so my life is pretty great. I have a beautiful wife, great kids. We've been married for 18 years. We lived here in the community, and my wife's from Mishawaka. And so my life is pretty good. I grew up.
And what did you do for a living? I don't remember.
Oh, I'm a pharmacist,
that's
and will
right.
continue
and you
to be.
Still are. Okay.
I still am. My wife is a nurse at St. Joe Regional Medical Center, so we're healthcare professionals
right.
in the community. And I will continue to do that. But yeah, so our life's pretty great.
But
So
you had a ...
I had a ... moment. So a couple years ago, for my kids, I started writing this book. I guess the genesis of the whole thing is I was writing this book for my kids, and God's blessed me with great talents, more than just pharmacy. I'm a pretty good artist and writer, and I love to entertain and tell jokes,
cool.
and I love music and all these great things in my life. So I've been pretty fortunate. So I wrote this book for my kids, really, called Three Little Ninja. I have a copy of it for you too. I'll give it to you today.
Great.
Okay.
Oh, yay.
Boom.
Cool.
You can get it on Amazon.
Black. It's black
the
and
team
red.
colors are fantastic.
Love it. Thanks.
Yes, it's wonderful. So you can get it on Amazon. And so I was writing this mostly for my kids.
Right.
I'm thinking I need to share this story. I need to share my talents. Ultimately, when my kids read this book, or hopefully share it with their kids, and down the road, I want them to hear my voice come out in this story.
Awesome.
So I had to do it, right?
Cool.
So I was fortunate enough then to go to different schools, and still would be happy to visit schools and talk about my book and my story. And I would go to these schools, and elementary schools mostly,
Right.
and I'd talk to these kids, and we talk about ninjas in Japan, and ninjas are awesome. And then I would read the story, and then we'd ask little questions. Then before I left the classroom, I would give them what I like to call my Mr. Rogers moment before I left. And so I'd say, so the first time I went to a classroom, I said, okay, so now I'm going to give you my Mr. Rogers moment. And this little 7-year-old raises their hand. They're like,
Who's Mr.
who's Mr. Rogers, right? So my heart broke a little bit. But then continuing forward with it, took a deep breath, and basically I tell them a story I adapted from somewhere. And it basically tells them that before they were born, when they were just floating around, God came to them and told them that he wanted to wish them luck. He or she wanted to wish them luck, and to make God a promise, right? So God came to them and asked them, when you go out in the world, would you paint me a masterpiece? And of course, yeah, I'm a little kid full of potential. Like, I can do anything I want, right? So God said, great, I'm going to bless you with all these talents. You go out in the world and you paint me a masterpiece. So you're born. And you go out in the world, and you're obligated to take your talents that God gave you, the inspiration, the little words of encouragement that he gives you through your life, and you are to unleash them onto the world. And if you don't do that, then you are taking something away from earth, from God. God's giving you these things, and you are required to do that because you promised. And so I was there to remind the kids that you promised God to do something special while you're on earth. And so writing this book allowed me to encourage those children that way. So at the same time, I was thinking about Ninja Golf, building this great miniature golf facility, doing something great for the community, and sharing all these awesome things with like I was telling the children. So as I'm doing through a few classrooms, and I stood up and I was giving them my Mr. Rogers moment, and I thought, wow, I'm being an incredible hypocrite to these kids if I don't take the steps and go do this, right? So that's how I really felt like, why don't we do this? So of course you have to go to your family and say, hey, we're going to go on this trip. Do you want to come with me? And we talk about it. And I never got a lot of pushback that, yes, it is an awesome idea, but someone else should probably do it, right? Like,
That's kind of how they reacted?
well, it's kind of like, we have a pretty great life. Like, why would you want to take this great risk and go out there and put yourself on the line? And you've never owned a miniature golf facility. Who does that?
Right.
But I remember Christmas 2016 it had to be, and I was with one of my nieces, and we had a mock-up of the miniature golf course and the building and the whole thing. And I was talking to my parents about it, and she was like, "What's this?" I mean, she's 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, "It's a miniature golf facility." "Oh, where is that? That looks pretty great." And I'm like, "Well, we were thinking about building it." And she looked at me and she was like, "You can do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you can." Like, so I keep that in the back of my mind because I'm just thinking like, a child can look at that and think like, who does that? I'm like, we're going to do that. Like, isn't that pretty great? So, for the kids, for the families, we're just building this great facility in Granger. So hopefully they'll love it. But that's
awesome.
Yeah.
So you are having to rely on God for this because
for sure,
it's pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a Catholic household. We raised our kids Catholic, and so God's always been present in my life, but the way God's present to a teenager and a young adult, your relationship with God changes throughout your life, right? So and I'm not a cover-to-cover Bible reader, I don't open a Genesis and read through. I'll open up from time and read things, and there are times when God's just speaking to you through the Bible in different ways, and in church, and the things that your pastor or priest says to you. You interpret God's word in different ways to you, and I really feel like these last couple of years, God's like been speaking to me in a more personal level, and so it's like, what are you doing with your life?
He's like, I love you, John Miller.
I love you.
You're mine. I made you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now you said before we started that there was a time that it was so emotional that you got really emotional about this. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the summer, after we did the school year. With the book and talking about this idea, and I woke up. So we got to the point with my family where my kids just very lovingly and my wife were like, "Okay," it was the put up or shut up moment. Like, we're gonna do this or we're not. Like, we can't just keep talking about it. Why do you keep talking about it? So I woke up one morning and like I said, I had this like burning bush moment where I could see the whole project like just really. I know I wasn't hallucinating. I had a good night's sleep, but I woke up just very emotional about the whole project. And it was the moment I really decided that, yes, like I definitely want to do this. And so I woke up just, tearful about it. And I didn't really want to tell my wife because I think she was at the point. She's like thinking I was crazy, probably
You're
still.
Crying about golf?
Right,
You're crying
exactly.
about miniature golf? What's up with that?
Right.
So crazy. So tell me why ninjas? When you wrote your book for the kids, why ninjas? 3 little ninjas?
Because they're awesome, for one.
What's awesome? I mean, I never was a big ninja watcher.
No, exactly.
We watched VeggieTales. My kids watched VeggieTales.
Oh yeah, we did too. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know a lot about.
No, it's great. Superheroes, ninjas. Really, we're this even a little further back. I would lay in bed with my boys at night, and we were big bedtime story readers all the time. And sometimes you'd read a book and be like, "Oh, that was terrible. Like, how did that get published?" Right? And sometimes they're very good. But there was a long period of time where I'd lay in bed and we were just making up ninja stories. Right? They would help me. Decide what happened next. I would help them, and this went on for like months, really. And my boys would come to me, and they were littler then, and they say, "Hey, could we tell more ninja stories tonight?" And we just lay there in the dark and just tell ninja stories.
That's cool.
And that's part of also like, okay, I need to put this in a format that will last more than just us saying the words into the air at that time. So it was very precious.
That's
so
cool.
Kind of, that's kind of where it came from. So then, when I was writing the book, I also illustrated it.
Right.
And I felt it was very important to be as authentic and respectful to Japan and the Japanese culture as I very possibly could. I'm not Japanese. No one in my family is. Ancestry.com says no one is Japanese in my family. But I became really enamored with the beauty of the landscape and the architecture and the art. So in bringing that to the book, and I always loved martial arts too. So as all this combination of
Right.
things that kind of
Right.
came out in the book that way.
Well, I just love this story, you guys. If this is a meaningful story to you guys, share it. If you like miniature golf, support them. They open at the end of May. We're hoping for Memorial Day,
Yeah.
maybe for John's birthday on May 30th.
Thank
That
you.
would be a great present from you, Lord.
Yes.
So that's a great thing. And gosh, this just reminds me that, you know what, we're like God's ninjas in the world. We're supposed to go out and, you know, secretly bless people and, you know, so anyway, so go out and be a ninja in the world today, guys, and get inspired. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Thank you.